Good morning, friends. I want to talk about the relationship between productivity and strategy. So, I have been interested in productivity basically since I was a teenager, and I read David Allen's Getting Things Done when I was quite young, and I was reading Lifehacker and Merlin Mann and a bunch of other stuff around that time, and later in life got really into Tiago's work and building a second brain. And eventually James Stuber and I built the Digital Productivity Coach to kind of put in one place everything that we knew about productivity so that we could help our friends who were asking us for a lot of advice. And around the time that I got into Tiago's stuff, I met my friend Ben Mosier and got really into what I eventually realized we might call strategy. And for me, these two interests have always been related, and it took a little while to figure out exactly how. And I think it's actually really important, especially if you're doing stuff in the world, to understand how these relate, because they're sort of the same shape of a question, but at different scales. So the thing that I figured out is productivity is about individual skill and power and agency. It's about your ability to do things that you care about and to execute over time on actions and projects and goals that you have. And so leveling up your productivity is in your best interest if you have goals that you're going towards, if you have dreams you're trying to accomplish, if you have things you want to do, if there's things that you're trying to do in the world with your days and your months and your years, then having good productivity systems that work for you is going to level up what you're capable of. And of course, those productivity systems should be tailored to you, and you can figure out what works for you. With the Digital Productivity Coach, we give sort of a sane default of, hey, we think this is going to work for most people. This is our default recommendation. But everyone tailors their systems to them and realizes, oh, I like this better for me for this reason. And it may be a way that nobody else does it, but if it works for you, it works for you. But the point is to have some kind of system for tracking things like tasks and projects and goals and following through over time. So you kind of have trust with yourself across time, like, I'm going to do the things that I care about. And, for me, having these systems for years and years and years has really made it possible to do all the things that I do. And I think my body of work up to this point, I'm 34 at this point, is pretty prolific. And I would say that that's by and large a result of my productivity systems, where I have infrastructure for acting on my ideas over time. So I've written lots of blog posts, I've written multiple books, I've made music videos, I've done all kinds of things that I never thought I was going to do, but because I had the infrastructure to act on my ideas and do that consistently over time, I just follow through. And that's part of why I'm passionate about productivity. It's not sexy, it's not fun, it's not interesting in and of itself, but it's fun because of what it makes possible. It's powerful because of what it makes possible. And all of my friends are people who have dreams and visions and things that they want to do with their lives. And some of these visions are quite big and quite ambitious. And to me, when I see that, I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that you have what you need to succeed at that you have the productivity skills to make that possible. And so I'm very passionate about helping my friends and allies to develop productivity skills because I want them to realize their visions in the world. So then where does strategy come in? Strategy is kind of the same set of questions and problems, but like, how do we do things over time? But at a collective scale instead of an individual scale. Productivity is about, how do I do things over time? How do I trust myself to act consistently over time and to follow through on what I care about? Strategy is about, how do we do that? And how do we coordinate over time to act on what we care about? And we here could be a crew or a group or a nonprofit. It could be a startup. I've used it at a monastery, obviously. And then it could also be about coordinating between actors, both individuals and groups. So like, if the Service Guild coordinates with another group, then how do we work together? How does how do we do the thing that's best for everybody here and coordinate over time? So it's a lot of the same questions, but at a different scale, at a collective scale instead of an individual scale. So they're kind of structurally similar, productivity and strategy. A lot of the same kinds of questions come up, but knowing that productivity is about your individual agency and power and skill, and strategy is about collective power and agency and skill, that clarifies a lot of things about how they related, about how they relate. And in particular, I think it's really worth maximizing your skill at productivity. And I would say completing the digital productivity coach, because it's like a skill tree it's a map of, hey, we think you should do this, and then this, and then this. And it's a finite skill tree. You can actually finish it and master the productivity skills. You should complete that and then move to strategy. So recently I've been making strategy videos, for example, things like, conditions, consequences, and means, ends, and alliances, and Cynefin, all these things that I've learned about strategy, which are outlined in my blog post, Strategy 101. Those are going to be more useful to someone who really has hit the wall of what their own individual productivity can do. And I hit that 2018, 2019. I was blogging a lot, and I wanted to double my throughput of what I was blogging and double my output. And I realized there's no way I'm going to be able to do that by myself. I can do this, but I'm going to need help from people. I'm going to need people to edit for me. I'm going to need people to research with me. I'm going to need friends to help me market. I'm going to need friends to help me keep me accountable. And I built kind of a crew in 2020. I guess it was 2020 that I did this, in the second half of that year. And I have a blog post forming a publishing cooperative about that, which was kind of a precursor of the Curiosity Department now that I look back. And that was really focused specifically on my blog. I didn't have my podcast yet, and it didn't have this larger scope of what the Curiosity Department could be. But I started coordinating with other people to increase my throughput and increase the benefit I was having in the world. And actually, a lot of the blog posts that I wrote that year have become the foundation of what I'm doing now, and have really had a major influence on my life. And so I'm really grateful that I did that push and trusted my intuition there. My intuition was just burning. I had so much desire. I'd been in a solitary retreat for the first half of the year, and I just came out like, I have so much to do, and I need to do it, and I need to ask for help in order to do it. And I had a fire under my butt, and there was nobody putting a fire under my butt. There was nobody who was like, Tasshin, please blog more. But I was like, no, I need to. And coordinating with other people helped me to do that well. And knowing about strategy has helped me to coordinate the Service Guild and organize the Service Guild and figure out who to work with and how to work together, and also how to coordinate with other allies outside of the Service Guild who aren't in the Service Guild, and kind of seek the thing that's of maximum deep benefit, that's omni-win, do the thing that's the best for as many people involved as possible, ideally everyone and all beings. And I think that thinking strategically helps me to make better choices, help me to choose better projects, help me to get more done, not only for me personally, but for the Service Guild as a whole, which is the main organization that I think about strategically these days. And similarly, I want to help my friends to think strategically, to learn the concepts that have been helpful to me. And I especially want my friends who have already kind of developed productivity skills to know these concepts, or people who are starting to figure out, hey, I need to coordinate with other people. I need to build crews. I need to build organizations, this kind of thing. Anyone who's forming a startup or a nonprofit or just trying to crew with people, I think strategy is going to be really useful to those people, because it's about collective coordination, not just individual action. But same sets of questions, just a different scale. So both of these modalities have been incredibly useful to me for acting in the world, for showing up in the world, for doing the things that I care about. And I think that they'll be useful to you if you're called to do projects in the world, if you're called to make things, if you're called to be responsible and show up for the people in your life and your communities and our species and this earth, then I think that these ideas are going to be useful to you. And when you see how they connect to actually making your dreams and vision possible, it becomes much more aligned to learn about productivity or strategy. It's for a lot of, I mean, I was kind of intrinsically interested in them, but I don't expect people to be intrinsically interested in them. I think that they make a lot possible. And when you see what they make possible, it becomes much more motivating to learn about these concepts and these tools and these structures, because they take what you can do so far. So I'll put some links to the Digital Productivity Coach and my Strategy 101 post in the comments, in the description. If you have any thoughts about this, I'd be curious to hear in the comments. And in particular, if there are any ideas or resources or systems that have been really useful to you in your own work and practice of showing up in the world and doing stuff, then I would love to hear that. And feel free to drop that in the comments too. Commenting is very helpful to me with these videos, and liking and subscribing. So I appreciate any engagement that you have. It'll help these ideas to spread and be of benefit to more people. Feel free to share these videos with other people also. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I am sending you love.